Hey everyone, it's the Dark Knight Emin. Today we're going to talk about record ID, the variable, and flow. Say you want to take your current record, so you're on a record in Salesforce, and you want to take the ID of that record and pass that into your screen flow. There's a way to do that. When you set up your flow and you want to add the flow component to the screen here, you go ahead and pull that component over to here. And then on the side here, we can set some additional component capabilities of that particular flow. One of the things is any of your variables that are set for input, you can set there. So I have this record ID and I can pass all field values from the record to this flow variable. So basically, it's going to take the field values I have and pass them to this record ID. All right, so there are two ways we can do that. We need to first create the variable to store the value. We'd like to label that as record ID. The first way you can create that record variable is as text. The nice thing about text is that it's flexible. It can be used across all objects. So if we create that screen flow and we put it on multiple objects, we can gather different record IDs from different types of objects and just do some decision logic within the flow to figure out which one it is and do what we need to do with that. If you need any additional values from that record, you will do a get records call. So you don't get all the values passed to it. You have to go find those particular records for that particular ID that you've received. So here is a resource. Here's a variable. We called it record ID. This is the text type. And like I said, make sure you make it available for input that allows you to pass an ID to it. If you don't check that box, this variable is pretty much useless because you can't do anything with outside of the context of the flow. One of the ways record ID as text is very helpful is that we can, like I said, we can put it on multiple pages. We can put it on accounts, contacts, leads, opportunities. We can put any of those pages there and we can pass that ID because it's text to the particular, from the object to the flow that we're going to be utilizing. Since we know which object we're going to put this particular flow on, we can put a decision here to look for the prefix of that particular object and then go down that route. So let's say we used account for this one. I have a decision here where I look for the prefix for the account, and then I go down the path there and I go and do a get for account records. So now I have all my account record, all the account details for that record that I have. So we can just do find the account that matches the ID that was passed through that record ID. And this is just kind of what that looks like there. We have our find records. We have a condition ID equals that record ID variable that we've created. Before I move on, please like and subscribe. I try to produce Salesforce tips every week. I know it doesn't always happen, but I try to. And the liking and subscribing lets me know that you like the content. So if you like the content, like and subscribe, then I'll produce more. So the other thing we can do is we can create the variable as a record variable. So one thing to note is that if you do this, it only works for one object. When you create that variable, you have to specify the object. But what's really cool is you get all the values from the record. So this is what the variable looks like. It's a record ID. We have to say it's a record type. We specify the object. You still have to make it available for input. If you don't make it available for input, you can't pass a value to it. From there, once we actually get into like a screen page or something like that, we can actually gain access to all the fields that are on that record because it's a record variable. So we have record type ID dot, and then I can grab in the fields from the account because this is an account field. And then over here, we can see that we can grab all the fields that are required for account, and then we have account name there, but all the other fields that are available for the account are also available. I have 72, it looks like, on the account here. So that is how we set up the variable for record ID for screen flows. We can pass it through text, and then, or we can create a record variable to pass the value to, and we have to do a lookup. It's a great time saver. It's a great use case. If you're going to be using screen flows and you want to grab values from the record, I would recommend following one of these approaches and then go from there. All right, thanks for coming, and I'll see you next time.